We're at an inflection point, the whole world, and it will soon be time to pick a side. The sides are collective good versus personal benefit, and not in the ways that we've probably come to expect. It's going to be a choice between togetherness and digitally enhanced isolation. The eclipse in Libra started a process that will inexorably continue, and we can't resist it, but we can be ready to heal from it together when it's over. What this means for us individually is obvious in the energetic camps that we're developing around ideologies of revenge or reconciliation. Some people are just not traumatized enough yet, and they still have to exhaust that energy. And the rest of us need to be the first line of defense, protecting these lost souls from the malevolent energies that they're attracting to themselves as they get lost in the moment. This requires extraordinary kindness, even when you hate what they're doing. Our job is to bring more light into the world. It's that simple. Bring more light, or you are bringing more darkness. These are the only two options. Everything right now that's not light and uplifting is dark and heavy when there's already too much of that energy in the world. So we can't allow ourselves to taste the darkness for our entertainment or pleasure purposes overly much. What is needed at this time is anything light, beautiful, and warming to the heart. It's directly healing to experience joy. So don't allow fear and hate or guilt to disturb your joy. Use joy as a weapon against fear and darkness. All right, that was the message for this week. Don't shoot the messenger. Now I'm going to do some readings to see how we can use that energy to move through this week. All right, so I think the first question that I should ask is, why is Hecate trying to get me canceled off the internet with all this spicy talk? But instead, the first thing that jumped out at me was the idea of extraordinary kindness. This is a very difficult time for people. Everyone has an opinion about this. Everybody who's standing next to that person has a different opinion to it. And it seems just impossible for us to be nice to each other while we have difference of opinion this great, and I suppose with this much at stake. So the first question should be about this extraordinary kindness. How do we achieve that? How do we find this extraordinary kindness within ourselves? How about that? How do we find this extraordinary kindness within ourselves? Four of Pentacles in the center is a state of stability, of holding on to what we have and growing from it. And the Ten of Chalices is fulfillment. It's having everything that you want, right? All the cups have been filled. And the High Priestess is the lunar goddess. She's the one who helps us see our intuition and rules the fates and so forth. So if we put this together to find inner kindness, to find extraordinary kindness within ourselves, it has to come from a place of stability. So how do we find extraordinary kindness within ourselves? We can't be filled with this extraordinary kindness if we're not fulfilled ourselves, if we're not secure ourselves, and aligned with the sacred feminine, because that's what this card really represents, is the feminine aspect. So to come from that place of nurturing and care and collective benefit, to come from a place of material stability where we're okay and we can personally grow and develop ourselves and have found fulfillment. We have to be stable and fulfilled and balanced within ourselves with this sacred feminine. So what that says to me is that, one, we need to focus on our nurturing, caring side, right? We need that goddess within us to be more present. But we also need to take care of ourselves materially. We have to make sure that we're stable and that we're fulfilled. And in this time when there is so much distress in the world, so much sadness and tragedy, we feel very drawn to empathize, to take part in the tragedy in whatever way we can, because all that we can do is observe it, and it feels sort of hollow and empty. And it feels inappropriate to do anything else, like to worry about ourselves and our own stability. But that's not how we find that inner kindness. An extraordinary kindness doesn't come from a place where you're trapped in an open-air prison and being abused. that's where hurt and trauma comes from. And hurt and trauma typically will generate additional hurt and trauma. So since that's not our experience, we have the distance from the tragedy with which to create this stability and to live fulfilling lives. I'm going to say almost in spite of it, certainly alongside of it, and use that stability, to use that place of being okay to try to send more kindness into the world. We're privileged that we have this stability and this fulfillment. We need to tap into the side of us that is not judgmental, not hateful and spiteful, but nurturing and kind and understanding why there is trauma in the world, and to give of ourselves from this place of stability and plenty and fulfillment. We find the extraordinary kindness that we need to give others from our own place of well-being. So that makes sense, but we still feel guilt, right? And when we're doing okay and someone else isn't doing okay, and there's pain and hurt in the world, and particularly when it's not just one person, but at this point, millions of people, it doesn't feel okay to feel okay. It feels more natural to chase the tragedy, to partake in it in some sense. So let's ask, why is it okay for us to focus on ourselves and follow our bliss, even though there is tragedy happening in the world? So the center card is strength, and it looks to be sort of rising above the fractious of lions here, all the aggression. And then on either side of that strength, which I think we can read both as inner strength and then sort of like the strength to overcome all of this madness that's going on, you have these two planting metaphors of the Eight of Pentacles and the Seven of Pentacles. And it's 7 and 8 from right to left, so I think we should probably read it that way. There's some planting and tending and alluding to harvesting that comes from this reading here. Why is it okay for us to focus on ourselves? Because we're planting the seeds that will eventually grow, I suppose, into the future, right? Like we're planting the seeds of the future, and it gives us strength that we're doing this, I guess, for this reason, right? We're not just taking care of ourselves and not worrying about anyone else. We're investing into the future so that it becomes more beautiful. There's something there for people to enjoy. There's a future for us to survive into. That if we lose ourselves in this moment, we might not have that. So while this violence is going on in the world, how is it okay for us to continue focusing on our bliss, our joy? It is to find the strength to move forward, right? That is our strength. But also, we're investing into the future. We're growing something instead of destroying something by doing so. So we need to continue with what we're doing because it makes us strong and it provides for the future. All right, and the last question. There's so much fear in everyone right now, even people who aren't really dealing with the bombs dropping on their heads. They're still feeling fear. They're awakening to the realization that the world isn't exactly a safe place. And so I would love to be able to contribute some sense of peace or some understanding about how we remove that fear. So how do we operate without fear? How do we live without fear at a time where there is so much scary stuff happening? How do we live without fear at a time when there is so much scary stuff happening around us? All right. So in the center is the Four of Wands, which is the stability of building something. I mean, it's often literally a building, but as the centerpiece here, I think we're all working on building something, potentially the future. And it requires us to face the devil. We have 3 face cards here, which is interesting. the Knight of Chalices, the Queen of Swords, and the Page of Pentacles. It's quite the spread. The Page of Pentacles is over here picking flowers, and I think that's what we can take from it, is kind of like stopping and smelling the roses, or investing into the living and growing things. And then the Knight of Chalices, he's the romantic, right? His heart is open and flowing. The Queen of Swords is probably the part of ourself that's navigating the scary aspects of this, right? But it's not the King of Swords. And it's not the Knight of Swords. It's the Queen of Swords. It's kind of mirroring here with the devil. We're not facing the devil directly with any of these cards. So that suggests to me, and just the way that the card is, like there's no physical devil on this card. It's the devil card, but it's just like a scary forest. And so I think it's kind of like the devil within us, facing our internal fears, right? And maybe we face our internal fears by using the feminine wisdom of the Queen of Swords to strategically navigate through what is scary that's coming up. But there's a lot more of this energy here. And that's not like the Knight of Swords, and it's not the King of Swords. So it's not that masculine, aggressive energy that we use to defeat the devil, that faces off with the devil here. It's our inner caretaker, the one who is a strategist, right? It's thinking and planning and solving problems far away from a battlefield. But then on the extremes, you have the kid picking flowers, or stopping and smelling the roses, or tending the garden, or whatever your analogy might be. You have somebody who's investing into the small details, the living things, and making material good come out of it. And then you have this big charismatic, expressive, heart-centered explosion here from the Knight of Chalices. So that's the romantic. And this is the functional and practical, utilitarian, enjoying the moment and tending our gardens and working through our shadow and what scares us about the world very strategically as we build something. So I think we're playing all of these different roles, which is unusual to see that there are so many face cards. But I think this is different aspects of us that are being asked to come out. How do we overcome our fears? We build something. We live this life for a purpose. We build something with it. And the fear comes from the devil within us. It's our shadow, our own shadow, that's affecting us as a society. We have to learn how to face that with poise and grace and a strategic mind, rather than just fear, to conquer it, to tame it, right? You see the beak is tied here. She's become like an avatar of this monster that she's taming. We have to do so coming from a place of love and of nurturing the world. We live for a purpose that is to make the future better. So we live without fear now because we're living for the purpose of making the future a better place. And we just have to find better ways to do so that don't express our fear, but conquer our fear and allow us to overcome it. So those are the readings for this week. That was a spicy topic and some challenging reads. There's, I think, a lot to sit with here. And primarily, most of all, I think, is this idea that we're not the hero of any story here. We're not going to pick the winning team. And if we pick a side, we're certainly not going to win. It takes everyone to build the future. We all have hopes and dreams, shadows, fears, things that are expressing themselves unhealthily. We have to have mercy, this extraordinary kindness, and a focus on getting through this time so that we emerge better and stronger and more united, and putting our hope in that future, that we're building something, even in this most dire and unpleasant and tragic of times, that this is heading towards something which is more beautiful. We have to know that in our bones, and we have to will that into being. And we have to conquer our inner demons in order to get there. But the only way to conquer those inner demons is through love and investing into something greater than ourselves. All right. Good luck this week.